Ready?
I am ready.
All right, here we go. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of the OurThoughts podcast. It feels like it's been forever since we last seen you, but I'm Chesco, and as always on the other end, my partner in crime,
Matthew Magnus on the other end, as always. And it feels good to be back. It feels good to be talking to you guys like this outside of the stream. Just classic old video.
I know, a good old classic old fashioned video. And
right.
We got, and hopefully a video series, because we want to do a couple more of these type of things. This is a video series we are tentatively titling Good Thought, Bad Thought, because we will be going through a couple of different artists, and Matt and I are going to go through it. We're going to say one good thing, one bad thing, and maybe a couple more things about them, depending on
some
how much
hot
you
takes.
have to say about them.
Some hot takes, possibly.
Yeah, and if you're a Weeknd fan, as us, stay tuned, because we will unfortunately have to say something bad about him. So stay tuned for that. But for right now, let's go ahead and start off with someone who is starting out. Baby Keem. Matt, go ahead and say something good about Baby Keem for us.
Baby Keem. There's a lot of good things I could say about Baby Keem. I was definitely a little bit late to the Baby Keem, hype train or whatever that is. I knew him from like Orange Soda, and those singles back then, Die For My Bitch era. I was like, this guy's different. Obviously he still lives under the shadow of his big cousin, Kendrick. But he's definitely, I think, really, especially with his debut album, The Melodic Blue, has proven to be an artist who can separate himself and who knows how to be artful with rap. I think he's definitely paving a way that's super unique. I mean, his voice is literally like no other rapper out right now, in my opinion. And I feel like he just looks at rap in a different lens. So I feel like whenever Baby Keem hops on a track, or if you hear a Keem song, it's just very refreshing. And so I see a really bright future for Baby Keem, especially after this album he released this year.
Oh my God, yeah, Melodic Blue, one of my favorite albums of the year so far. I see him, I definitely agree. I think he's like the cream of the crop when it comes to these new generation of rappers, especially that type of rapper that focuses more on flows. And not to say that Baby Keem doesn't have good lyrics and all that stuff, but his flows are what really like draw you into the songs.
Right.
But where he differs from that branch, that subgenre of rappers, is he actually takes time in crafting like songs and like giving them messages and making them fit into like an overall album, whereas a lot of artists nowadays are just doing more mixtape type albums for the streaming numbers. I could easily see him growing into that top tier class of rappers for the next generation. So I'm excited to see what he has going on. Go ahead and transition into the bad stuff, man. And I can start this one off. I'll say this. With any artist that has that reputation of trying new things, is the prospect of that gimmick kind of getting stale or getting washed out, or them not knowing what to do with that anymore. Like I have a phrase that I said in our very first live stream, Shyamalan-ing it, M. Night Shyamalan-ing it, in terms of like, if you remember, like all those movies had these cool plot twists, and then now, all those movies are trying to recapture that magic, or trying to, have a twist that shakes the whole movie up, and it just ends up feeling a little forced, kind of thing, like you're trying to check off boxes. Playboi Carti is an example of someone who's been able to navigate that with relative success.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that Baby Keem is able to, keep shifting, keep changing it up, keep evolving, whatever that means, because I feel like he has all the tools already.
You brought up his flows and how they're almost like, if not more important than the lyrics sometimes. I will say that he definitely needs to find the right flow for him. There are moments on, especially features, where he's definitely a little bit awkward. It sounds like he's kind of trying to find the beat as it's going, and then there are even moments where he never really gets there. And it kind of is just, a little bit awkward. I feel like he needs to find that pocket, because he has multiple times. I mean, you can listen to Melodic Blue, he knows what he's doing. But there are moments where I feel like I can tell he's trying to attempt to do something, and it doesn't really land, and it kind of gives an awkward performance. This is like, very nitpicky, but it's obvious, you know. But I feel like that'll be something he gets better at with time.
Yeah, funny thing enough, I feel like that's another thing that people would say about Kendrick, his big cousin, is like sometimes on features he kind of feels a little lost. Like I think of like the Mask Off remix. Like I remember people weren't really feeling that for some reason. So yeah, interesting. Next artist I want to talk about is someone who has been doing incredible things all year. I want to talk about Tyler, the Creator.
Yes.
There's so many good things to say about him. But why don't you go ahead and just say something nice about him?
Okay. All right. Here's my rose, and then I'll get to my thorn about Tyler, the Creator. No, I think the coolest part about Tyler and just his career or where he's at right now is his past 3 albums. You can see such a definitive arc artistically. You know, he broke into the mainstream with Flower Boy. He kind of stripped back and introduced this brand new sound with Igor, and now he's kind of made this amalgamation of his past sounds into one awesome mixtape like album, which is Call Me If You Get Lost. My favorite part about Tyler is how inspired all of his projects are. Every song, every moment in his songs, it's like everything is so layered, and like I can just point like, oh, that was definitely a reference to like the Neptunes, or I could see how this 70s R&B style kind of influenced this song, or I can see, you know, so many aspects of his songs that are so textured and have all these layers that you can kind of pick and choose where you want to kind of interpret his music. And I feel like he's someone who's so explicit about his inspirations all the time, to where he's like, I love this album, I love this artist from like this era, and this is me interpreting that. He just loves the structure of making music. He's like, yo, in what's like the 9-minute song called on Call Me If You Get Lost, the
Sweet Thought You Wanted to Dance.
You know, Sweet / I Thought You Wanted to Dance. He's like, even in the song itself, he's like, I'm gonna take you to the next bridge, and he's like, you know, he literally outlines like every aspect of his song. So it's really fun if you just like love music to listen to Tyler now, because I can just tell he just loves music so much. Yeah,
his music is, in my opinion, like the breath of fresh air that hip hop needed. You know, he provides like just the right amount of, and it's gonna sound weird, like just stay with me. He provides just the right amount of like feminine energy to an otherwise it's like super, you know, alpha masculine genre. You know, I think of like the fingernails line, whatever it is in 327, like
glitter on my neck match the glitter on my fingernails.
I don't know, I just like stuff like that. I think that it provides something different. The way he makes music is just screams like superstar. You know, like he'll do so many cool things that you appreciate, like things that only happen in songs once. Like I love stuff like that, like little beat breakdowns. And with that being said, we've given him his roses. Let's go ahead and give him some thorns. What are you thinking? What are some bad thoughts about Tyler, the Creator?
This one's pretty hard. You know, I feel like Tyler, I've been a fan of Tyler for a very long time, and like probably since like Wolf, and you know, probably since I probably shouldn't have been listening to Tyler, you know, that was that young. I think the one thing that if I were to critique Tyler on, it would probably be, I feel like he's flying a little too close to the sun. This is kind of a hot take, but this is kind of like a reason why I couldn't fully love Call Me If You Get Lost. It's kind of hard to explain. Like, you know, it's kind of similar to like Christopher Nolan's Tenet. It's like when you Christopher Nolan a little too hard, or something like that, where you get a little too self-indulgent within your own realm, you know. And I feel like Tyler is reaching that point for me. This is extremely subjective, but it just felt like with Call Me If You Get Lost, he was just doing that to the max, almost to the peak. And I'm not saying it was a bad thing. I mean, it's a great album, but it kind of leaves you wondering, like, okay, well, like, this was like peak Tyler sound. This was everything we've been hearing for the past 3-4 years from the last 3-4 projects. Now what, you know? Where
does he go from here type of thing?
And it's just like he's very he was indulging in his production on this one. Obviously he produces everything, but is that he was almost bordering in some moments overproducing tracks, in my opinion. There was like a lot going on when I look back at Igor, when he stripped everything back and he just gave what was needed. And I actually enjoy that project a little bit more in a different way than Call Me If You Get Lost. I think I enjoy individual tracks on Call Me If You Get Lost a lot more than the individual tracks like on Igor. But if we're talking like as a whole project, Igor to me is a lot more experimental and a lot more stripped back and is concise compared to Call Me If You Get Lost, where I felt like he was kind of getting a little bit lost in his own shit, in his own world that he's created, which is dope. And I, as like an artist, I understand like it's so easy to do that, but then it kind of makes you think like, oh well, now what? So kind of a weird critique, but I just feel like this is something that it was kind of in the back of my mind the whole time when I was listening to the album. I'm like, why can't I really get down with like this whole thing? But nonetheless, I still love the project. I mean, it's a great album. But that would be my one thorn for you, Tyler.
Now, with this next artist, we love this artist so much, it's going to be kind of hard to talk bad about him. Okay, Childish Gambino. He's been making the rounds in the news lately with some tweets. Atlanta's coming back. He has so much going for him.
So hyped about that.
Yeah, I can start off with some good thoughts about him. I think he's just a modern day Renaissance man. Like he just does everything amazingly. He has classic albums, comedy specials, TV show appearances, even his own TV show, like movies. He can dance and like made like one of the most amazing psychedelic funk albums of the modern day with Awaken My Love. He's so charismatic in just like his everyday life, and his personality is very cool. Like he's just such a cool dude. Like I don't know, you can't. Everyone in their life has had one point where they wish they were Donald Glover. And I 100% stand by that. Like he's an artist in every sense of the word. Do you have anything you wanted to add on to that?
Yeah, I think I'm at that point where I wish I'm Donald Glover right now, or I think I'm perpetually at that point. No, I would have to agree. I mean, I think I look up to Donald because he cannot be like boxed in at all.
Yeah.
He's influenced every like medium that he's created in, whether it was rap with because the internet, which I personally think albums that are coming out this year, I can point back all the way to because the internet. I'm like, if that album didn't come out, this album wouldn't exist. This new era of like internet rap and glitch hop and stuff like that all started way back. And then you look at TV, Atlanta, one of the most innovative, one of the most like unique shows to ever air on FX, HBO, any of that. Not only is it about rap and music itself, but also just like the culture, and also just about topical issues, about race, about politics, about life in the hood, stuff like that. It's like it touches on so many things. And then obviously you go to like his acting career, and it's like I'm rewatching Community right now. I'm like, man, Donald Glover is so good in this. And like,
are we going to study Spanish or keep getting involved in each other's personal lives? Hey, Troy sneezes like a girl. And how about I pound you like a boy? That didn't come out right.
He has stand up, and like even in Atlanta, I'm like, he's just somehow has like been able to capture and understand every art form that he decides to venture down in a different way, which is kind of what I strive to do. I want to like, whether it's like film or like whatever it is, it's like I want to do something different and like put a new perspective on it. And it's always really cool in a moment whenever he says something.
Yeah, I love it. He just came out one day and just went like, yo Dave, little Dicky, you came out my balls.
Yo, that was funny because like I tweeted out like, I don't know, a year ago or something when Dave like first came out. I was like, Dave is kind of like the white version of Atlanta, and like someone was like, this is kind of true, and like it just dawned on me. It's like, I know he like Donald Glover does not want you to compare them at all, but it's kind of it's hard when they're on the same network and they're kind of both about rappers, and they're they're both kind of like dark comedies as well.
Right.
But at the end of the day, Atlanta is a completely different show, especially with the season 3 trailer that came, or teaser that came out on Halloween. I was like, okay, this is going a completely different route. So
now we talked about some bad stuff or some good stuff about Childish Gambino. Let me do that again. So we talked about some good stuff about Childish Gambino. Let's get to some bad.
You know, I wouldn't think I would see the day where Bino would miss, but the 3, 15, 19, whatever, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3.1415, whatever that album is, was a miss. He made it so inaccessible. I was like, is this a like Frank Ocean Endless moment? Is he trying to get out of a record deal or something right now? Because this is not an album. Like when it first came out, I was trying to stream it on some shitty website or something that he linked it to, and like it would never work. And then it came out and no songs, no album cover. I'm like, okay, bro. I mean, in that sense, you can argue that Gambino did Donda first, just with a white cover. But at least Donda had some song titles where I could follow along.
Right.
But no, that was just a little too left field. I'm like, I can't even enjoy this.
Yeah. Speaking of being a little bit self-indulgent with Tyler, this was kind of all the way there. Like this is what we meant when we're talking about artists who kind of get too full of themselves, or maybe too, I don't know, too confident in their abilities. I don't even know.
Kind of just too lost in the concept to even like really realize what at the end of the day people are going to get out of it, you know?
Yeah, and absolutely. And there are some songs on there that I like, that I love, like 1238, 19, whatever. Another bad thought I would have about Bino is that when you're great at everything, everyone's gonna be asking you to do that thing that they want you to do the most. Like, you know, for example, like some people may want Atlanta, more seasons of Atlanta. Some people may want another Childish Gambino album. Some people may want him to have his own like series as Lando Calrissian in Star Wars, you know? Like there's so many things that he could do that it's like, oh, like it always feels like we're missing out on something from Bino. It's just kind of the downfall of being too good at everything, you know, is that everyone wants you to do everything.
There's only so much time in the day, you know, you can't, I don't know if you could work on an album, work on a TV show, and act in a Star Wars, like like all at once. I think he would just have no time at all to himself. So I guess that is when he's too good at being good, like that it's like not enough somehow. But,
literally. But anyways, here let's knock off a couple of these. We got Post Malone.
I kind of like, I don't know, Post Malone. I was a big fan of Post Malone when he first kind of like got on the map. I'm like, oh, this is cool. This guy's got, you know, it's a little bit different. You know, Stoney, I think, was the album I listened to. I'm like, okay, I'm a fan. Yeah, I got some cool tracks. My favorite thing about Post Malone is how he can, honestly, his voice. You know, I feel like there are some moments that I see on, like in concert or live versions of songs, which is like him and a guitar, and he's like, dude is like really a musician. Like he knows how to play. He can really use his voice. He's like really good at that. And some of his tracks, I mean, I cannot lie, they're like, he makes some catchy shit, you know, Sunflower, Circles, like all this stuff. It's like definitely a vibe. I think it just kind of boggles my mind, like how famous he is and like how big he is, because like because I don't know, I was just, he's Post Malone, like everybody giving him he's like, what, the White Iverson dude, like, and then I kind of like stopped listening to him, and then like 3 years later, all of a sudden he's like one of the most listened to pop artists right now. I'm like winning Grammys all the time. I'm like, whoa, okay, like his music's getting billions of plays. I'm like, okay, so he's definitely doing something right. But no, I think he I would love to see just like an acoustic album from him or something a little more intimate and stripped back. I feel like would be really cool, because he's super talented and as a dope voice, which I think is what separates him from other mainstream pop, rap, melodic artists nowadays.
You can tell just from our tone that we're getting ready to get to our bad thoughts. So let's just go ahead and get.
I was like, can I say them right now?
Yeah. Go ahead. Unleash the beast that is your bad thoughts about Post Malone.
Okay. It's not like that bad, but like,
okay.
It's mainly just he is way too commercial now. I feel like his stuff is a little bit. I don't know. Like it gets a little soulless sometimes when it's too poppy. It's too polished. When I know he's like he comes from that gritty rock, you know, even country background, that he goes full pop, and I'm like, it's like just another Post Malone song. You know, it's like it's just nothing too crazy, but you know, it makes sense. It's what makes him money. But I think I wish I would see a little bit more from Post Malone, because it's like this is a critique I have for a lot of artists that get this big and they stop trying to do something different because they're like afraid that they're not gonna get perceived the same way. But I'm like, bro, you're so big that you could do anything and people will listen to it. So like, might as well do something crazy and out there, left field, something totally different, not pop, switch a genre, do something different. Because I feel like then I would kind of get interested again. But past few years, Post Malone has been Post Malone. I think the last time I really paid attention to him was that performance with Ozzy Osbourne and Travis Scott or something. And that was kind of it.
Yeah, on that same note, I feel like his hip hop type songs, you know, like Wow, Congratulations, those type of songs age pretty badly for me. I think that those. What's up, Kat?
Sorry, she's being rude, intruding.
God, dude, we're recording. Quiet on the set. No, but because like Sunflower, Circles, like those songs where he commits to some kind of creative direction are a little more memorable to me. Whereas those hip hop type songs feel, it's like gentrified hip hop to me.
Yeah.
And obviously he has that reputation of being like a culture vulture, you know, taking stuff from hip hop and also I think I remember he had like an interview with the Breakfast Club where he was like shitting on hip hop, and it's like, bro, you're not a rapper, but you make hip hop music, whether you like it or not. So you gotta like respect it. So I think from that point, I think those are some things that Post Malone needs to kind of keep mind of, I guess. So yeah, that's it for me about Posty. Let's talk about a couple of our favorite artists that are set to drop very soon. Album could be out. Let's talk about Silk Sonic. Let's talk about him individually. I want to talk about Bruno Mars.
Yes.
Now, I can start off here. Some good thoughts I have about him. He probably does, and you can argue with me in the comments here, he probably does the best job of capturing like the spirit of Michael Jackson. You know, that like pure positivity, love, bright, upbeat, and even like his sad songs, they can get super sad, like When I Was Your Man, like Damn. And also like his old music, Doo-Wops and Hooligans, Jukebox, those ones like shaped my childhood, you know. And his my last good thought about him is, again, arguably, I think he has like the greatest singing voice of all time. Like the soul he gets there, the pitches he can reach, the range he has. I think that it's just like, if I could have one voice, it would be Bruno Mars. So Matt, any good thoughts about Bruno? I already know you have good thoughts, but yeah, go ahead and talk to him.
Yeah, definitely have to agree with you on the fact that Bruno definitely has one of the most angelic voices in the game right now. But I think what I love about Bruno is that he is purely like a performer, or you know, like I feel like if you've ever been to a Bruno show or even just in his music, especially now with Silk Sonic, I love when they said like Leave the Door Open is a type of song that you don't want to follow up in like a festival or something like that. And I feel like he kind of approaches his albums with that same vein. Like everything is magical, everything has to be a magical moment. It has to be a moment that is both intimate but can also be expanded like 100 times for a concert and be even more impactful and stuff like that. If you really look at his discography, he only has so many albums, you know, and they're not like stacked track lists either, you know. It's very concise. He has some of, I think, like the cleanest discography of any artist to his level, and I think it just goes to show that he is just such a good songwriter and just such a good singer, that he can just have an entire career off of like 3 or 4 albums that have just exploded. I mean, he's one of the biggest artists in the world, and I think if I gotta say, he is definitely the forefront for us in the Filipino community. Everybody knows Bruno is the man. He's like one of the chosen ones. He's made it. He's been made it, you know, and he made it out of not the hood, out of Manila, whatever you want to call it. But
dude was homeless, doing like Elvis impressions, and here he is as like one of the greatest superstars of our generation.
Yeah, you know, it's just really cool to see. And I think Silk Sonic is gonna be a dope album. I'm very excited for that. But no, I mean, Bruno, he just has a good sense of what makes a hit song. You know, he knows what he needs to do, and I think he just has like a different ear for things. You know, everything is so specific, especially like with 24 Karat Magic, like to capture that classic 90s sound but still, you know, revamp it for today. And then with the few singles off of Silk Sonic that we've been hearing, like just that pure euphoric 70s soul R&B, just like all of that. He just knows how to capture the essence of an era and like make it his own, which has been very successful for him, obviously, throughout his career. But he's one of those artists where I feel like I'm lucky to be alive at the same time to like appreciate his music.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. However, we have now gotten to the bad thoughts segment.
This is more recent, but you know, just his rollout plan, or just his relationship with his fans right now. I mean, everyone's gonna love Bruno always, but I feel like they've fumbled a little bit with the Silk Sonic thing. The hype was real when Leave the Door Open came out, and if they released the album like I don't know 3-4 months later, it would have been soaring, you know. But I know obviously when you gotta collaborate with another artist, there's all these different things. But I feel like also just in general, Bruno, I feel like can have a little bit more of a connection with his fans, a little bit more connection with his audience. And then, you know, with this Silk Sonic thing, everyone was about ready to turn on him if they didn't release. I feel like that's why they pushed it up, because I think in an interview they're like, oh yeah, it'll come out next year. Everyone's like, oh my god. And then they're like, okay, it's coming out in a couple days, it's fine. So at least of recording this. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, hopefully that drops. But I was like, damn, like people were not happy. Musically, I really can't critique him on anything. I mean, maybe if you don't like just pop music or R&B pop music or something like that, then I can see that. But no, I mean, Bruno has, in my opinion, has yet to miss his whole career.
I agree. I think he hasn't. I don't think he's missed on a single record ever. However, if I were to critique him on something, I would say that, and this is something I brought up on the stream a couple times, is that sometimes when he takes different genres, like, you know, New Jack Swing off of Finesse, you got Uptown Funk obviously being like that pure like 70s funk track, synth pop on Treasure, all really good songs. He shows that he understands the assignment, but sometimes it feels like an assignment. I don't know, it just feels like someone doing an impersonation of it, which is, you know, it's fine, it's good, it's really great music, like it's fine, but like if we're nitpicking here, I think that he sometimes perfects it too much, which is why it's a really amazing idea, like genius level 3000 IQ whatever idea to partner with Anderson .Paak on Silk Sonic.
Yes.
Because I think that he brings that soul, that grit, that heart that I think is missing from certain Bruno Mars tracks, which we can go ahead and segue into him. Anderson .Paak, he is like soul personified.
Yeah.
He brings an energy to every song and performance that really, like, I don't think anyone has. Like, no one brings this amount of presence to a song like he does. Every single song sound like it's just like a jam session, improvised, like he's making it up in the moment, which again kind of meshes perfectly and complements Bruno Mars, the way how meticulous he is. Love that about Anderson .Paak. Any good thoughts about the best teeth in the game?
Right. Yeah, I think I was having a conversation about just the two of them with my girlfriend the other day, and she said that Anderson .Paak just feels like a more funky Bruno Mars. And if you think about it, like, their voices complement each other very well. I mean, Anderson .Paak has an incredible voice, but also their music, you know, it's kind of within the same vein, where it's like, it's super fun, it's super live, it's kind of has this magical touch to it that kind of keeps you drawn in and wanting more. But I think personally, Anderson has one of the most underrated and like diverse discographies like to date. I think if you go back all the way, you know, to Oxnard, like all the way back, like way to some of his earlier projects, I'm like, damn, like why was this not like widely renowned, or like, you know, why did this not get the a recognition that it deserved? Because I feel like he was creating something so fun and so fresh that I think got maybe lost somewhere because, you know, people are starting to get into more, you know, beats, you know, made on the computer, you know, just stuff like that, kind of like in the same era where like Anderson .Paak has been the most consistent artist. He's always just been live instrumental. It's him on the drums, you know, it's like he's always doing something physical with music, and I can feel that with all of his tracks. It's like what you put in is what you get out when you listen. Anderson lately has been getting the recognition he deserves, though, especially partnering with Bruno. Obviously, he's put him on the map, which for better or for worse, that's what happened. But you know, he was on like the Shang-Chi, you know, soundtrack. Like, he's been doing a lot, and it's been really cool to see him kind of like getting to where he should be or should have been this whole time. Because I feel like right now, or in the past, you know, 5 years, music has shifted from the praising those people who are amazing artists and performers, whereas it's just like, who's the best brand to stand behind, or like who's like cool right now, or who's like the top 5, you know what I mean? Whereas Anderson, like, he's dodged all that and still made a name for himself and still is on top. So that's what's really cool to see, is that he's still just being 100% authentic this whole time, and you really can't deny that he has a lot of fun every time he's in the studio.
I love that he's getting more recognition, but I still don't think he's getting as much as he should, man. I feel like everyone should go back and listen to those Malibu, Venice albums and just enjoy like what he brings to every single song. Now we transition into the bad stuff, and not gonna lie, I feel bad. This is the one artist where I feel bad having to say something bad about him just because he's so cool. But that is my bad thing about him, is that he's too damn happy, man. He is too happy. That shit-eating grin he has when, like, just I have this like ingrained in my memory when I forget what award show they were performing at, but they were like, "Yo,
do y'all want to hear a new song off the album? Nah, we gonna run it back. Let's go. Bring it back."
So, like, I really can't find. If I were to find something bad, I guess maybe on that same note, maybe his music, he never really goes into dark of like a tone of music, and I think that there's something there that could be really interesting for him. Like, a lot of his music is jam session, you know, good vibes type thing. I would like to see him not go into like straight up like depression and like drugs, OD type thing. Like, nah, I don't want necessarily that, and I'm sure that'll come with time. So yeah, do you have anything any bad thoughts about Anderson .Paak?
Yeah, I think it would be cool. I think my main critique is that kind of similar to what you were saying, how a lot of his albums sound like just like jam sessions, or they're just kind of like a bunch of really fun tracks back to back. Either they're fun, or they're just really groovy, or they're really sexy, or they're really, you know, they just kind of like go through these, you know, it's still a variation of songs. But I would love to see him attempt to try to give like the narrative album structure a chance. I feel like Bruno has definitely done that countless times, you know, with, you know, I think like Jukebox and stuff like that, you know, all this stuff, you know, talking about it's kind of the arc of all of his relationships, and like all these different moments where, you know, his dynamic relationships with girls and stuff like that, or past lovers and all that
24K Magic, you know, like Calling All My Lovelies, Chunky, all that stuff. It's progression of it, like you were saying. There's
and then it ends with kind of a breakup, you know, there's a little bit of an arc. Whereas with you know, Anderson .Paak, this is probably not what Anderson .Paak fans go to Anderson .Paak to listen to, but I feel like it would be cool to see him give more of a storyline, or just like some sort of arc, or like something that is planted at the beginning and resolved at the end, you know, with an album, rather than just like, this is a song for when you're really happy, this is a song for when you're getting really drunk, this is a song for when you want to feel good about yourself, you know. It's all just kind of like one-off emotions, where I think if he tried to kind of make something, you know, flow in a different way, I feel like he could be really good at that, especially with live instrumental. Like, he can make some really amazing, you know, grand moments within a narrative album.
Now, the moment you've all been waiting for. As if we haven't said enough good things about this artist, let's go ahead and talk about The Weeknd. Let's give some good thoughts about The Weeknd.
Yes. I mean, you can go back to, we have a whole section on our channel where we just talk about the things we like about The Weeknd.
Yeah, funny that you say that. It just popped up right over somewhere at the top there.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
What I think is kind of the epitome of why people are a fan of The Weeknd and why he's been kind of on top the past couple of years, and just what makes him so desirable as a listener. His concept and his ability to create worlds from his album. Whether that's Trilogy with that haunted strip club, dark street, Toronto night music that kind of haunts you and like turns you on somehow at the same time. It's like this weird vibe that he gives off. Or moving on to like Kissland, which is like this whole like landscape of this kind of like almost like post-apocalyptic kind of like futuristic hellscape in the middle of like Japan. It's like this so very specific things that he goes through. And then obviously with After Hours, that was like a movie. Literally, like he was creating an entire narrative. He had a character, all that. And then going into The Dawn, that is also very atmospheric, kind of Blade Runner-esque. He kind of picks and chooses these themes and then these worlds that go along with the music that makes it so enticing to listen to. And then I can just put on the first track of After Hours and I'm already back into that world. I can put on the first track of Trilogy and I'm back in 2012, 2013, thinking about where I was at that point. And then once The Dawn is out, I'm going to feel, whatever that feeling is like that's still being fleshed out. But I feel like he just has such an ability to like just draw you in and like create such a dope experience for you that is so like honestly like three-dimensional when you're listening to it. The visual, the how much like texture and crazy detail is within every like note of every song. Like I just think back to that Eliseo interview. I think it was, I don't know who it was with, like Beats or something, I don't know, but he was like breaking down just like one part of like one song. I think it was just a build up and there were like a million filters and like a million like different plugins and like all these different crazy analog things just to like help. He's like, and at the end of the day, I do all this just to build the world. And so I feel like The Weeknd, he kind of surrounds himself with like-minded people to like all be on board and all want to be a part of the world, and then that just makes it even better. So I think that's kind of why people love him so much, and my favorite part about listening to his music.
If we're talking about pure artistry, he is the greatest, one of the greatest we've ever seen, and in my opinion, the best of this generation in terms of the way he's navigated his entire career with a certain amount of, with a shroud of mystery, and establishing this persona of The Weeknd, this guy who will fuck your girl and have her home to you the next day kind of thing. Establishing that and then slowly pulling back the layers and getting to know him more and more, and then it culminating in what is, I think, his greatest work in After Hours. I think it's all culminated into that. You can really tell that like this was like years in the making, and now being a fan of him is like a journey, which I appreciate so much, and I can tell that he loves kind of taking us along that path, just the way he did on After Hours. He took us on a journey, starting off with Alone Again, and slowly kind of picked apart every single aspect that we've seen of him until we get this like husk of a man, and we realize like that's what The Weeknd is. It's just like a shell of a guy, and that's not Abel. So I love that he's able to I love the way he's able to express himself through his music. The Save Your Tears music video, go ahead and check out our Farewell to After Hours era where we break down the Save Your Tears music video. But like you said, to your point, he could have ranted on Twitter about the not being nominated for a Grammy, but instead he takes that moment to make like an artful statement and throw away the Grammy and realize like, he doesn't need that. So I love that he's able to do that kind of stuff. Okay. We've said enough good things to where I feel like the Weeknd fans won't hate us for what's about to happen, but let's say some bad things about The Weeknd, man. Let's get this over with.
His shit is trash, bro.
Garbage.
Absolute
washed.
ass, bro.
Unfortunately, mid. I'm not going to be listening to his music ever again.
Youngboy better. Ratio.
Fuck.
Nav better. Yeah. In every sense.
Every sense. Shave that mustache.
Yeah. Put the
I guess you
bandages
did.
back on. I can't even look at you, bro.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't know. I think that if I'm gonna have something to critique the Weeknd on, this is a very like selfish thing, but
Okay.
I feel like ever since he's gone fully mainstream pop, whatever, it's kind of taken the mystery away, which is like which was like half of his persona at the very beginning. You know, it's like, who is this guy? What is he talking about? What is this crazy haunted strip club music that he's singing about? And it kind of gave this different ambiance that was very kind of dissonant and cold and almost dystopian in a way. It was like alternative dystopian R&B that was like so different. Whereas now it's like he's gone almost complete 180 with the Dawn, where it's like super hype, super pop, super you know, synthy. It's all kind of like warm and in your face and really loud and fun.
Yeah.
And which is cool. You know, that's you know, he's evolving. The one thing I will say is like the Weeknd knows how to switch it up all the time. And so that's what is so fun about following what he's doing. But I will say, I do get a little tired of the format of the formula rather, where it's like, here's the 2 radio hits and then the rest of the album, and it's like, you know, it's not as fun as you know, getting like looking back at like Kissland or like Trilogy that were not really meant for the radio, but that's what makes them cool. Obviously, After Hours was the perfect balance of that, and you know, I think people, you know, Blinded Lights is like the most listened to song of all time, but then I don't really know if all those people really went back and listened to all of After Hours, you know, and really took time to dissect. So he knows like how to balance the radio play and the nitty gritty and the deep cuts on the album. But I think his mystery has definitely worn off a little bit for me. But this is like a backhanded compliment somehow, but I feel like it's also brought me a little bit closer to him, because I feel like, well, this is very specific to us, but he knows who we are. But like also like with, you know, like he's been out more, he's been talking, he's been very vocal, he's been always on Twitter, like he's been super visible in the public eye all the time since the beginning of After Hours, which has been really cool, and really dope if you're a Weeknd fan. But I feel like I do miss the nuanced kind of like mystery, the guy behind the veil kind of thing, whoever's like he's like lurking in the shadows, that kind of stuff, from, you know, way back. But, you know, that's just me being nostalgic.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's become a pop star, and to that end, he has to make these albums that are a little more accessible to the audience, which is, yeah, I could definitely, there is something to be desired. There's something being left out that, but I do think that this is just kind of a phase. If Beauty Behind the Madness is Starboy is him being that star in his mind, now he has actually become that, you know, in that top tier of artists, like the top tier of all time artists.
Right.
So I think that right now he's just solidifying his claim to that, and maybe, you know, maybe in like 6 years, maybe he'll go back to making albums, or at least make one album that is not for radio play, that's for the fans, that kind of thing. So you know, hopefully that happens, man. Also, what's the deal with your prices, man?
Hey, what's the deal with the tour, bro? You'd be refunding my tickets. I had seats. That's my beef. All right, forget what I said. That's the main beef. You fuck with my tickets, all right? I had great seats at the Forum, and I was ready. I got to do that all over again.
Now you're about to be parallel to the curtains.
I'm about to be behind him. Yeah. I'm gonna be under the stage. That's like what's gonna happen.
They're gonna be selling tickets right outside the stadium. Like, you can't see anything, but you can hear him.
Yeah, they're gonna be
it's gonna be
audio
ridiculous.
tickets. Like, might as well listen to the album at home.
or just like watch it on YouTube later. At
Yeah.
least you'll see some. But yeah, ticket prices, merch, a bit expensive. And also I know that some people still haven't gotten their My Dear Melancholy vinyls. The album came out in 2018. Again, not really problems with him as an artist. It's more like his merch company type thing, and just
I don't know. Maybe it's time to do an explain. Maybe it's time to do an explain video on the Weeknd now. You know, we exposed Frank, and then all of a sudden he came out of his shell and made an appearance. So
hey.
I'm not saying we're correlating, you know, with what happened there, but
we are directly responsible for that. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's not thank you. You're welcome.
You're welcome. Yeah.
But yeah, there you go. Hopefully the all the Weeknd fans that love it like our channel don't torch us too bad. But let's one last artist that I want to talk about real quick. Good thought, bad thought if you have them.
Okay.
Someone who's signed to the Weeknd, one of your favorite artists, Nav.
Yo.
Okay.
The brown boy.
I'm gonna put a cap on the good thoughts that we let's put a cap on like 30 seconds, because I know we could go on and on forever
Okay.
about Nav and how incredible he is, but let's try to be as concise as possible with this
Okay.
one.
Okay. I will say, in all honesty, when Nav is on, he is. I enjoy Nav when he's on the right track. It's the right flow. It's the right features. He brings a good energy, I feel like. He brings like a cool. The melodies just work. It sounds nice in my ears. You know, I'm thinking of Turks or Yosemite, some of his earlier mixtapes and stuff like that, where I actually like kind of enjoyed some of the tracks, especially his Weeknd stuff. I thought was kind of cool. But Nav, I feel like, has a good sense of how to use his voice, how to use autotune, and when it's really on, it's a good track. When he's on, I can vibe to Nav.
Yeah, definitely. I think that I actually really enjoyed his most recent album, Emergency Tsunami. Is that the one with or no, hold on. The one with Saint Laurent. I like that song a lot. I think that to me is like the song that describes what I like about Nav. He like you said, he can bring a very cool, calming presence to a record, very chill, laid back, something you could you could play at a kickback and it would just carry the vibes nicely. Now, with that said,
I have only one critique that will encapsulate all of my critiques for Nav.
Okay.
I need you to put up the line that I sent you.
It's
okay.
All right, ready? 3, 2, 1.
Your whip is a toilet, you looking like poop in it.
It's so bad that I couldn't stop like singing it. Like I was like rocking around the house. I was like, your whip is a toilet, you looking like poop in it. Yeah. And I'm like, this is kind of hard. But no, I was like, this cannot be real, bro. Like what is he talking about?
That might be one of the greatest bars I think I've ever seen. But I don't know why this is in the Bad Thoughts segment.
Oh, my bad.
I mean, I don't have anything to add to that. I mean, I think that's just it. I think that encapsulates everything about him, good or bad.
Yeah, or both, you know.
Or yeah, whatever, man. I don't know, but yeah, I think that's gonna be it for this edition of Good Thought, Bad Thought.
But yeah, those are our thoughts on some of our favorite, some of our not so favorite artists. But let us know if you like this segment. If you like us giving one, as we put it, one rose, one thorn, one good, one bad, one positive, one negative on some of your favorite artists. Because I think it sparks, an interesting conversation. Because even if you love an artist, you can always be critical of their work.
Yeah.
It's still, I'm still a fan of all these people. Still a fan of the poop bars from Nav. No worries. I just had to come up with a negative. So other than that, Nav better, and NBA Youngboy better. Like still, that still holds. It's still
Two
the
goats.
same. Two goats.
Those are two goats.
Top
right there.
five. Anyway,
the new Tupac and Biggie.
Yeah. Yes. But that being said, on that bombshell of an ending. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, this has been Our Thoughts Podcast. If you are interested in watching our live streams, we live stream every single week on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Or if we tell you otherwise, but you can go ahead and check out our past live streams in the description below. We have a playlist linked for all of our live streams for the past year, basically. We have a dope little community over there if you want to
Yeah.
interact with us live and see us recording this thing in real time, get our thoughts on something quick. We talk about everything and anything over there. Go ahead and check that out. Other than that, go ahead and give some love to our past few videos, and be sure to subscribe, comment, like, let you know what your thoughts on all these artists are down below. Do all that good stuff. Our Thoughts podcast on all the social medias, all that good stuff. And we'll see you next time. Peace.